All right, thank you guys. Right, I'm going to invite Barbara up now. Barbara is a long-term supported missionary of ours, and it's a pleasure to have her with us again. I hear it's quite a tradition to have Barbara come to us on the first Sunday
of the year, yeah. I think it might be the 18th year running, except for the COVID year. Before we move further into the service, I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you to you in Falkirk Baptist Church for your prayers throughout the year and for your gifts throughout the year. It really means a lot, and it enables me to serve as a missionary across Europe and into Africa quite often as well. Last year was an interesting year for me. The good news was that I had been homeless for 2 years, and many of you were praying a lot during that time, and I finally found a flat. So it's nice to go back to Spain this week and not wonder where I'm going to be living. That's my Mikey next to me. That's my housemate in the picture. Let me make sure I get the right one here. Yes. So the 3 pictures along the top there show you my town, Alaurín de la Torre. It's got a tower there. It's a town of about 48,000 people. And I've been very excited to still be part of a church that we planted there the year that I first moved to Spain in 2008. So that's been quite exciting. The past year's been a bit strange. I spent time in hospital with broken ribs. I've been diagnosed with a lump on my foot that might need surgery when I go back in the new year. And so it's not been my fittest year, physically speaking, but it's been quite an encouraging year in ministry. I laid down some leadership roles that I'd carried for years, gave one of my roles to somebody who's 40 years younger than me, which was nice. And it's been encouraging. The things along the bottom, if you're good at flags, who knows what the 2 flags are? Children, teenagers. What are those 2 flags? Well, the answer's kind of there. One is France and one is Morocco. I was excited this past year to be able to travel to France at the beginning of the year and teach in a special school that equips missionaries to serve in Islamic nations, specifically across North Africa in places like Tunisia, Mauritania, Morocco. And then at the end of the year, I was able to go to Morocco myself and run a seminar for young leaders, that people who grew up in Muslim families but accepted Jesus, and now they're following God as missionaries, and they're running training schools and growth groups and house churches to help other people come to know Jesus. So that was a very exciting part of 2025. Looking ahead to 2026, you'll get my newsletter on Friday, next Friday, when the church diary goes out. Thank you, Rachel, for your faithfulness in sending out the diary every week and sending out my newsletter every month. It's kind of a special year for the ministry that I'm part of, KKI, King's Kids International, because we're celebrating our 50th anniversary, 50 years of mobilizing children, teenagers, and whole families to follow and serve God. And so we've got a whole bunch of things happening next year. One of them is that we're going to have 50 weeks of prayer for the 50 nations of Europe. And so all over Europe, in every country where we have ministries, people are going to be gathering to pray for the nations of Europe. I'm the person that's been given the job of writing the materials, games, prayer pointers, activities for those 50 weeks. So I would really value your prayers for that, for inspiration and creativity. Around May, we'll have a burn. We'll have 50 hours of prayer non-stop, day and night, all across Europe. And then towards the end of the year, we'll have 50 days of prayer leading up to a big celebration that we're having. We're holding it in Switzerland and inviting people from all over Europe and beyond who've been part of our ministry over the past 50 years. And at that gathering in November in Switzerland, we'll launch something called Target 50. And from then all through 2027, our goal is to take outreach teams, prayer teams, worship teams to every nation of Europe. So a lot happening for us over the next 2 years, and I'm very excited about that. Looking ahead just to this year, here are 5 of the countries that I'm going to be working in. Who can tell me what these flags are? Young people. Yeah. What ones do you know? Germany, there. Next one, Spain. Switzerland at the end, the square one. Great Britain or UK. And Scotland. So, I mean, Scotland's part of this one, as you can see on the flag. These are places that I'm going to be working in this year. In February, I'm going to Germany to teach in a school that equips people for youth ministry, children's ministry, and family ministry, and also running a young leaders seminar. All summer, most of the summer, I'm staying in Spain, and we're hosting teams that are coming from other countries, from England, from Poland, from perhaps Belgium, and we're going to be reaching out with my church to our town in the Malaga region. The UK flag is there because I'm coming to England in June, and I'm running our B2B Young Leaders Seminar there. If you know young leaders aged 18 to 30 who would love to do a 1-week intensive seminar, just talk to me, and I'll give you information about that. And I'll come for 1 week at the end of May for a visit to Scotland before we do that. And then the Switzerland flag is because of our celebration at the end of the year. And so I just wanted to thank you for your thoughts and your prayers. As Adam says, it's a bit of a tradition that I turn up here on the first Sunday of every year, at least since about 2007, I think. I didn't do it when I lived in South Africa because it was summer outreach time there in December and January. But here I am at the beginning of every year. And I've been watching TV a bit this week, and they're talking all the time about New Year's resolutions. Who makes New Year's resolutions here? Let me see your hands in the air. 2, 3. 3 people out of the whole congregation make New Year. You know, I think a lot of us don't, and I suspect I know why. Because I read some surveys and some statistics. It was even a question on The Chase. Did anybody watch The Chase? When do people give up on their New Year's resolution? It's a day that is apparently officially called Quitter's Day. And it's the 3rd week of January. But I don't make New Year's resolutions. You know, they're usually about all kinds of good things. But I do something similar. I make some, you might call them goals or targets or action steps for things that are happening during that year ahead. And some of them are about growing closer to God and growing more confident, more strong in my relationship with Jesus. You see, I work a lot with teenagers and with young adults, and often when we finish a program and we say to them, what's next? They'll say, I'd like to be closer to God, or I want to know God better. And it is a desire of many believers' hearts that we could have a closer relationship with God and that we would get to know him better. And so it was quite interesting for me when I prayed about what God would have me share today, that the topic he gave me and the Bible passage he gave me is about exactly that. And so a little bit later, when I come back up here, I'll have some things for the children, I'll have some things for the adults, and we'll be looking at what does it mean to have a close friendship with God in 2026, rather than following it at more of a distance. So that's all for me from now. I'm going to invite, is it the 2 of you? Yeah, invite our worship people up again there. And we'll just have our pre-communion song, and then Adam and several others will lead us in our time of communion. Thank you.